Good morning. It's Sunday morning and it's already into September. Today, I wanted to talk about celebration. One of the reasons is because my son's birthday was on the 1st. And, when it's a birthday, you tend to celebrate. Although I don't live close and can't celebrate that way, there's other ways I can celebrate. Throughout my life, celebration has been a big part of it. Um, my then husband and I had our children when we were quite young. So, and when anything happened that we were excited about, we celebrated it. Sometimes we would go out for supper. Very often, as the kids got older, actually, because I love to dance, they all knew how to dance. We would often go to, on a Friday night, to a dance place where we would eat. Well, I think it was more like a Chinese food, but I can't remember. And then there would be music, and very often my children stopped the dance floor because they were so good at what they did. And of course, as they went on, but celebration is very, very important for joy, happiness, well-being. And as often as we get older, sometimes our level of celebration begins to decrease for various reasons. I I've always loved to celebrate, and I used to be a partaker of red wine a lot, which stopped. Oh gosh, maybe 17 years ago now. But it was like, what do you do to celebrate? We are now looking at fall arriving. It's arriving early. I look at my flowers and I can tell this is an early fall. I don't think we're having a late summer at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am after years of observing what happens and how my flowers are beginning to, I don't know whether it was the smoke or what, or the coldness in the mornings, but they're beginning to wilt. They're beginning to say, hey, we're done. We've done enough here. It's time for us to kind of pack up. But it's still, how do we celebrate the end of season? How do we celebrate? I know we have fireworks, New Year's, saying celebrating the New Year's, but I know, it's been years since I've been to see the fireworks. So it's really about how do we do it. Very often my friends and I gather for meals and celebrate a birthday or a situation. But I would like you to contemplate, what else do you celebrate? Do you celebrate the joy of being alive? Do you make a phone call to a friend and say, hi, I'm glad you're here. I just want to check in, see how you're doing. Do you do something that is a little different than perhaps would be the norm, that gives you a sense of joy, gives you a sense of aliveness and awareness? It's often like, I love driving. So for me, very often, just to get a friend and go for a drive, maybe grab a coffee to have more look at the water on the lake and things like that. Celebration can be big or it can be little. But the key is it brings joy into the system. The system needs an element of joy. And very often when we don't have joy is when we run into health issues. Now, I know this from before. And as you know, I'm confronting a few health issues now. So I'm taking a look at these things again, and I want to share them so that you can become aware that you add celebration to your life. Now, when I was little, I used to play sports, and I would celebrate. Now I sit and watch my soccer team in England win again today, very, very 3-0, which was nice. And also some other things I like to keep a track on. Tennis has been on for a whole week, and I have my favorites that I like to watch. What is it that gives you joy in your life? It may be something that you do. Maybe you like to cook. Maybe you like to go for walks or run. A lot of people run. I gave up running, I think, when I quit playing field hockey. But anyway, so it's like, knowing what it is. I got a great deal of joy out of watching my kids play sports. I know that. But then as time goes by, very often what happens, some of those things fall away and we forget to add the joy quotient. I could add the word happiness in there. Are you happy? Do you feel good about what's going on? Does it bring about joy into your system? Is your blood, is your insides getting really, really excited? Or is everything becoming ho-hum? Is it just becoming regular? I know the things that I like doing, which is why I speak to people 3 days a week on my YouTube channel, because it gives me great pleasure. Does it give me joy? Is something I have to think about. Not doing it would not be very joyous. Doing it does have an element of joy in it. And basically, when we have Monday nights where people do use the chat much more than the other times, that is the one thing I miss from the effects of COVID and the shutting down of and the lockdowns of us all. I used to have classes every week. We had a group that would come in, not every person all the time, but there would be a good group. And it brought me great joy, great delight at the end of the night when I gave everybody a hug and off they left. And then all of a sudden, we're not allowed to see people. We're not allowed to communicate. We're not allowed, just censorship. And if you ever look back at some of the talking, because that's when I began working this way, because I thought, how do I begin to get my message out? And I already had a channel. So I just started doing Norma talks first of all, and then it kept growing. But it's like, how do we get that? We don't get the same interaction. Hugging is really important. I used to do workshops on hugging, how to hug in an effective way. There isn't a way of hugging that is effective, that is healthy, that brings health. And so when we have isolation, we do not get that except for your family unit. And then the families I found, most people don't know how to hug effectively. That's why I used to do workshops on it. So there's a lot of things to look at is about celebration, joyousness, happiness, things which create and give you pleasure, that lights you up. Not that you just, oh yeah, we do this now. Yeah. Now we do that. Yeah. It's like, what lights you up? What is it that brings that to sort of to the bubble, to the surface? What makes that joy? What makes that sense of celebration, making life worthwhile? Because that is what is important. Because when it becomes that it's not exciting about anything, I'm a traveler. I love to travel. And it's like, but the last time I did some traveling, I was so tired when I got back home. It wasn't too much fun, like it should have been, because I was exhausted. But that's what begins to happen when you're having to make, what do you call it, changes and understand where your body's at and what's going on and what's happening. Celebration. So the thought today on this Sunday is, how do I celebrate life? How do I open myself up to all the beauty, the wonder, the pleasure, and most importantly, the joy inside that says, I'm glad I am alive here on planet Earth. In the last few months, my flowers, of which if you on my Facebook page, I put lots of flowers up there because to me, they bring me joy. And joy is a large part of celebrating life. But they're now coming towards the end. So again, what is now going to give me when I look out and it's dark fall, when everything is kind of moving into the dying mode? What am I going to add? I have windmills in my garden as well. And I enjoy those when the wind comes up and they're going. So what brings enjoyment? What brings that sense of celebration? What brings that element that says, I really am glad I am alive. I'm really glad that I can do this and enjoy it fully, because celebration of life is what is done. And that's what Sundays were all about originally. Sundays, whether you celebrate, a lot of religions celebrate Saturday, doesn't matter the day, but it's the gathering of people of like mind that celebrate being alive, celebrate a belief system, celebrate a sense of something more or greater than them. And so that becomes really, really, really important. I also just want to add before I close here, my 16th, the Saturday the 16th, when I'm doing a Challenging Your Guide is full now. So anybody else that wants that is going to have to go on a wait list for the next time we do it. But that was overwhelming. Actually, talk about celebrating. It was overwhelming, the response this time from the first time. So I wish you well. I wish you to find something to celebrate this week, whether it's to go and get an ice cream, an extra fancy coffee, maybe a brew or two or something. If you can do it with somebody else that you enjoy, all the better. But I want you to think about life. I want you to think about what makes it and brings you joy within your life and how it adds, and realize that there is a bigger power here that can help you no matter what. But there is that part of acknowledgement of that, acknowledgement of the power that is there for you to utilize to create your life in a happier, cheerier way. So I'm taking a big breath. I'm just saying, thank you for listening. Thank you for having a great week. I will be back tomorrow night for the mental mind treatments. Remember, you can always email me, text me with whatever it is you would like one of my specific prayers for. And if possible, give me 3 numbers between 1 and 22. Just type them in. I find it adds quite a bit. And see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock on the dot. Bye now.